Have you ever seen one of these symbols in your music and have no idea what to do? Well, you're not alone. These symbols are commonly found in music and are called ornaments, and they're often one of the most confusing concepts for the advancing pianist. In this video, I'm going to explain what ornaments are and how to perform the most commonly found ornaments in music. Let's get started. My name's CRZNDO, and I'm a professional pianist and piano teacher. I see over 50 students a week, and my goal with them is to help them improve their piano skills so that they can play whatever they want to on the piano. As I was beginning to take piano lessons, I was sometimes confused by all of these extra marks on the page. And some scores would tell me exactly what to play, but others would leave it up to the performer as to how to interpret the ornaments. Leave a comment below if you've ever struggled with knowing what to do with an ornament when you see it in the music, or if you even just skip over it. Now, these ornaments or ornamentation of the music is by definition the embellishment of a melody either by adding notes or by modifying the rhythm. These embellishments could include trills, turns, mordants, appoggiaturas, and many others. I think one of the best ways to think about ornaments is to compare them to the ornaments on a Christmas tree. The Christmas tree can look very nice by itself or even with some lights, but when you start to add the ornaments to the tree, they really add more character and something extra to the whole tree. And a few more notes before we go into the most common ornaments that you will come across in music. As we look at examples of ornaments in music, we have to keep in mind that they are specific to the different time periods, styles of music, and even composers. This means that it is important to consider who wrote the piece and also when the piece was written when determining how to play different ornaments. A major help with determining how to play the ornaments in the music will be which score you are using. Some scores will include very helpful hints or suggestions or even a complete preface with information on how to play the ornaments found in the music. The scores that I will be using today both include a preface and also some helpful hints on how to play them, which I think is very important. You can also refer to my video about how to choose a piano score to help with your decision-making process on which score to use. The first and one of the most commonly seen ornaments that I will explain is the trill. Now, the trill can be noted a few different ways in music. It could be notated with a small TR or also a small squiggly line as seen in this picture. The trill calls for the performer to quickly play the written note and the note that is diatonically higher than the written note in succession. So for example, by diatonic, I mean the letter name that's higher. So if E was the written note, we could play E and F. However, if you're following the key signature and there's an F sharp in the key signature, the diatonic higher note will be F sharp. For music of the Baroque and classical periods, for composers like Bach, Mozart, sometimes Beethoven, trills will start on the higher note. However, for music written after these time periods, the trills will typically start on the written note or the principal note. Now, there are also many different ways that you can perform a trill. You might have trills that are more mathematically aligned when you would use 2, 3, 4, even 6 notes per the other harmony note, or you might have a trill that starts slower and gets faster as you go along. Now, I will demonstrate both of these in these two musical examples from Mozart and Chopin. Another ornament that is commonly seen is called the mordant. Now, the notation for a mordant looks very similar to that of a trill and is also executed very similarly. If you see a small squiggly line like this, the mordant will begin on the primary note and will play to the note above and then back. This is called an upper mordant. However, if you see a squiggly line with a line through the center of it like this is called a lower mordant, and you will play starting on the primary note and then to the lower note. Mordants are quite commonly seen in music, and here's an example of a few different mordants from Bach's famous Minuet in G. The next ornament that is commonly found in music is the Appoggiatura, not to be confused with the Acciaccatura or the grace note. Now these two ornaments are very different, but also very similar in notation. The Appoggiatura is notated by a small note placed before the primary note, as seen here, and this indicates that the small note will be played on the beat and will receive half the value of whatever note it is written next to. For example, if an appoggiatura is placed next to a quarter note, which receives 1 beat, it will receive a half a beat, while the primary note receives a half a beat as well. If it were placed next to a half note, which gets 2 beats, it will receive 1 beat, while the primary note will also receive 1 beat. Quite commonly, a slight accent will be placed on the appoggiatura so that it can resolve to the primary note. Now here's an example of this in Mozart's 5th Sonata in G major. Not to be confused with the appoggiatura, we have the Acciaccatura, which I think is more commonly referred to as a grace note. Now there's a very small difference between the symbol for the appoggiatura and the Acciaccatura. In the Acciaccatura, we have a very small written note, as you can see here, but now it has a slash through that small note. In this case, you play the ornament rapidly before the primary note, and it could be either on the beat or before the beat, but that is more of a matter of the time period of the piece and also the taste of the performer. An example of this can be found in Gershwin's Second Prelude. Finally, we'll take a look at the ornament called the turn. Now, I think that the symbol for the turn always looks like an infinity sign. The turn is typically played with 4 notes. It will start on the note that's above the primary note, then the primary note, then the note below, and then back to the primary note. There's also an inverted turn, which is the opposite. Now the way to determine which turn to play lies in looking at the symbol. I like to think if you're looking at the turn from left to right, if the dot is at the bottom and goes up, then you know it's a regular turn. However, if the dot starts at the top and goes down, then you know that it will be an inverted turn. An example of the turn is found in the climax of Chopin's 4th Prelude from Opus 28. One last thought about the ornaments is the use of accidentals like sharps, flats, and naturals, and how these symbols interact with ornamentation. If an accidental is placed on top of the symbol, this means that the higher note above the primary note will follow that accidental. If it's placed below the symbol, then the accidental will apply to the lower note. I hope you found this guide to ornaments helpful. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, as I will be posting more videos with helpful tips and tricks at the piano, and also some covers. Also, if you have any questions about ornaments or specific examples that you're working on, you can comment with those below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.